And I know this might be a very difficult one for you, but do you have a particular standout horse memory?
I do. I do. It was the winter that I was 8 years old, and I was driving my Shetland pony called Flicka. That whole generation of kids called their ponies Flicka. And I had her driven in a harness that was made up of an absolutely ancient horse collar out of the barn with two skipping ropes for reins. And I tied to that collar that ran right down her middle between her legs out the back, tied it to either a piece of plywood or a truck tire. And that was my conveyance. And I trotted around and trotted around. And there was a little part of me that once that had happened, I realized that it was lacking in excitement and that I needed to go a step further. And my father had a 2-year-old bay filly in the barnyard that hadn't really been touched. He could catch her and kind of tie her up, sort of thing. This is not high. This is not a story of higher horsemanship. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm not necessarily proud of this, but anyway, I went out with my halter. First, I lied to my mother and I said I was sick. So the minute that she left for work, I had a working mother, she was a nurse. The minute she left for work and the school bus roared off in a cloud of exhaust, I miraculously had healing. I was better. And so I arose from my deathbed with my jammies on. My grandmother had knitted me red mittens for Christmas that year. I went out to the barnyard with my mittens and my jammies and all my stuff on, and I went to catch Flick the pony to go driving down the road. Lived on a country road with the snow. And my eye, God help me, landed on that 2-year-old filly. And I knew that she would go faster than my pony.
Mm.
Right? Smart
Mhm,
kid.
that yes, ma'am.
Anyway, I got her caught, even with my little snow pants going swish, 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 swish between my thighs. I got her caught. I got her tied up. I got the harness on her. I'm 8. I managed to climb up on the fence, and by snubbing her really, really, really short, I jammed a driving bridle on her. Here's something for your bidding course. And she wasn't taken to it real good, right? But she was snubbed up. I got those lines that were kinked like 9-wire. It was so cold, that run back through the terrace. I got her hooked up, tied to my toboggan. It was an aluminum toboggan. And
Mm.
I got it all lined out with the little reins set just so. And I unsnapped the halter rope. And she's just standing like she's in a trance. And I get in and I get all set in my toboggan and the lines all wrapped around my little mittened hands. And I said, Gypsy, get up. And nothing happened. So I slapped her on the bum with the lines. And we left that barnyard kind of on like one edge anyway. I don't remember too much after that. I do remember going along long after the pony's gone, picking up one red mitten and another little red mitten, and I thought they looked like dead birds, Daniel. But the pony was gone. She was gone, and the toboggan was like a sheet on the, a shingle on the wind. And I remember thinking about that time I started to get kind of concerned about my father because he had quite a sense of right and wrong. And I was starting to stack up kind of a high and leaning pile of transgressions there a little bit. Anyway, we had a lovely neighbor called Mr. Lyons who managed to get his truck started and headed out on the road following the pony, who was making a pretty good clip. And I think she got through 2-wire fences and crossed somebody's section pasture before a good fence finally took her down. Anyway,
Mm.
he sat on its head till another neighbor came and helped him cut the pony free. And I'm standing worriedly at the end of our driveway, wondering how this is going to play out. They picked all the pieces of harness up. The toboggan was right flattened right out. My father kept that toboggan till his dying day. It was in his shed. And I was right. I was a little worried. I didn't sit down too good for a little while after that. But we did end up getting that mare driving. She would drive, but she was always always kind of hard to hook up. You had to have a crew of handy people on her head and hooking up her traces and everything. And then she'd have to line out real fast for about a mile or so, and then she'd come back and drive. We never did fix that from her. But that's kind of a memory that stayed with me for a while. Sometimes I
I
have good
like.
ideas, and I've tried to remember if my good ideas are met with any sort of resistance with my horse, and I'm still the same person, so I still do this stuff, okay? Sometimes it's a blessing.
Well, I think you did indeed prove that she was faster than your pony, and that was the hypothesis you were testing on the day. So
Ultimately, it was
consequences, yeah.
my suspicion was borne out. It was. We went fast. I still can hear myself going, Gypsy, get up. Anyway, and there a horse trainer is born.
You know, the origin stories of more and more, they always involve almost being killed by a horse. Like that seems to be a necessary part of it. There is some horse that almost killed me, and I was too hard-headed to give up, and I had to persevere and fix this, and a lifetime of horse training
Well,
ensues. That seems to be.
a saner person would be scared.